Chicagoland travel baseball buddies, Dave Wagner, Wagner Baseball Glove Repair, and a video here, quick one. The questions are already coming in. I see them floating around on our boards, everywhere else. It's October. People want to get their gloves fixed, or what else do they want to get? Every kid is lobbying for a new glove. So here's a probably 5 or 8 minutes, what to buy, what not to buy. Because it used to be you had 3 choices. Now you have 27,000. So here we go. We're going to go on a buy, maybe buy, and don't buy list. So here we go. In general rule, Wilson, Rawlings, Mizuno, Marucci. They're pretty good buys. Now, do you notice how I have these starred and these not? Here's why. When you buy a Wilson or a Rawlings or a Mizuno, you're getting 30 to 40 years of Major League Baseball use in each pattern. A pattern is how a glove is put together. That means where the holes are in relation to each other, the size and thickness of the internal felts, where the sewing lines are, where the holes are. Everything has been tested at the Major League level. Highest quality materials, okay, best leathers. It is not possible for a low-end company to access the same kind of leathers or woods, if it's a bad company, as a big guy, because they throw a lot. These large companies throw a lot of money so that leather does not get to their competitors. So I don't care what the rep who's trying to sell you something different tells you, the leather they're getting is not the same stuff. It just isn't. Okay, small companies cannot buy into what these 4 can get. Now, in this area, we're in Chicago, Wilson's huge, and there's a reason why Wilson's huge. A, it used to be headquartered here, and B, it's awesome. Can I say that? No. It fits well on smaller hands. The dual welting design came out in about 1995, and what it did was it allowed average to slightly smaller than average hands to fit comfortably and have good control over a glove. Now, that's awesome. They have some Pedroia Fit series that are made for smaller hands, but here's the caveat. It doesn't matter if you buy a Wilson Pedroia Fit or a Rawlings R2G, which is kind of like their smaller hand thing. None of those is going to fit a small-handed person well. So don't make the mistake, my kid's 12, I need him to have an A2000. Those A2000s are not built for small hands. They're built for adults. Okay, an 11¼ inch glove can be used by a middle infielder in the major leagues who has real adult hands, but a small glove. So don't make the mistake of, oh, it's an 11-inch glove, it'll fit well for my kid. No, it'll fit well for a major leaguer who needs an 11-inch glove. So hand sizing is important, okay? So I can help with all that stuff. People, I can help size things and have measurement systems and stuff. But these are your basic big dogs, okay? These are the ones you should be buying most of the time. Buy a used one. You don't have to buy a new A2000 or a new Mizuno Classic Pro. You can buy used ones. The used market for these is huge. You can pay between $120 to maybe about $200 for a used one, depending how clean you need it. And guess what? Somebody like me or yourself can put in new lace color, whatever you want. It's easy to buy laces, and you can make it look cool that way. You can take some epoxy and a patch and stick it on your glove. You can't sew a patch, or you can't sew letters into a used glove. It has to be done at the factory, so you can't do that, but you can engrave your name. Leather engravers exist, right? And you can put on a patch. I assure you, no one in the world has ever come up to me as an umpire, as a lacer, and as a player and said, I know I'm making all these plays because my glove looks so cool. No, you're making the plays because the glove fits you correctly. Okay? And it's fit to you correctly. So that's what I'm big about. I'm big about fit, and does it suit your needs? Okay? So, Wilson, Rawlings, Mizuno, Marucci, solid investments. You can buy them used, you can buy them new. Marucci is not starred because they tend to be a little bit hard. This of all 4 is probably the hardest to use, stiffness-wise. So for kids, it usually doesn't work well. Mizuno is also not starred because some of its patterns are a little persnickety. They don't like to be used, except if you close it in just the way that the engineers developed. And so some people don't like the feel of Mizunos. I play everything, I mostly play Wilsons. Wilsons and Rawlings are generally going to fit most players somehow. They're easier to fit for majority of people. So that's why they have stars. Now, in the maybe buy these category, we have Nike, if you know which one to buy, and I can, text me, I can tell you. Easton's pretty sketchy when it comes to glove nowadays. Once in a while they have good ones. SSK Pros, very good. SSK Knockdowns, not very good. Bradley, a company that specifically focuses on higher end materials for smaller sized hands, has a wonderful inventory of smaller handed but all leather gloves. They are worth a look because, like I said, these companies don't make true all leather children's gloves. None of these four do. That's all that Jeff Bradley, that's all he does. The last one, Buckler, a company that does major league stuff. You don't find them in youth sizes, but a used Buckler is going to be a very high-end glove, similar to a Marucci, stiff, but all leather and pretty good. They make their stuff in the same company, or in the same factory. Now, here's the problem. Now, you've got all these companies making gloves, and they outsource to different countries in Asia, Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan, etc., and some are in China. Well, the managing directors and the owners of the factories said, well, how can we get more gloves made here in our factory? Because Wilson, let's say they're a Wilson place, and Wilson says you're going to make 40,000 A900s here. And they say, but we could make more. And Wilson says, no, we don't need any more. Just make these. Well, about 5 to 10 years ago, they started looking to the United States and saying, hey, we've got all these workers, we've got all the materials, and we've got all the stamps and dyes and stuff. Well, let's make other gloves and let people buy their own name to put on it, and it'll be like they have their own glove company, which is like, okay, but you don't really own your own company. What happens is the product, the Pro Line company, Wilson, is cleared off the factory, and stock patterns, not the ones Wilson uses because those are copyrighted and patented, but other patterns are used, maybe made in-house, and you don't get the Wilson leather. That gets taken away when Wilson's done too. You get slightly worse leathers, and then they can crank out something. And here are some of the companies that do that. Okay, this is their stock and trade. They don't technically design much of anything themselves, and their work has not been in the major leagues for 50 years. Less reliable patterns. Here we go. Not Nakona, I'll talk about them later. This is the big one, 4.4 Pro. If you haven't run into a 4.4 Pro rep in Chicagoland, you will. And they'll offer great deals on if your entire team buys these gloves, and they'll sell 15 mediocre gloves for about 160 a piece with your player's name, their number in the pocket, their best friend's cousin's dog's name, and then a flag from a country they want to visit. And you're gonna think, oh, this is such a great deal. And the reps will tell you, it's just like the same stuff. It's not the same stuff. It just isn't. Okay. The leather used isn't the same. The patterns that are used aren't the same. Nothing is the same. It just looks like a baseball glove. Okay. That's the biggest company that does this around the country. Now, local companies, what they'll do is they'll make their gloves on the same exact factory machines as 4.4 Pro does, but they take the 4.4 Pro logos off the glove and they put in Hoosier, Stilo, Tater, Rico, Alvarez, Riot, Wolf, Gloveworks, and D-Bat. There are a few others, okay? They're making clone gloves. They're all selling custom gloves, all the colors and goofy things you want, for between $175 and $225. All of them. And they're being made at like about 8 factories in Asia. All of them. Okay? You are not getting in this group this stuff. You're not getting the same leather. You're not getting the same anything. Okay? They're just taking your money and saying it's almost as good. And because most of these guys who are building these gloves are 13-year-olds with a glove builder app or a glove builder online, it's what it is. So these guys are marketing themselves brilliantly. Oh, make it look however you want it. Don't get stuck with just a stock pattern from Wilson. But the problem is your stock pattern from Wilson is a Wilson with better materials. Okay, so just know this. Other brands that aren't really, they're not in this clone class, but suck for high-end gloves. Franklin, best batting gloves, terrible baseball gloves. Glove Smith, not many people use these guys anymore. Glove Works, not many. D-Bat, mostly make bats, but a lot of these bat companies try to turn a quick buck by adding a glove line. It's a totally pirated Asian unisex kind of line. The company I didn't talk about here that a lot of folks like, especially if they're from the West or Southwest, Nakona. Don't buy Nakona gloves for a kid. I don't care. You shouldn't buy them from an adult. Don't buy them from a kid. Here's why. Nakona, their basic idea was to make a glove that wasn't like anything else in the world. So when Wilson and Rawlings, also made in the United States at the time, figured out easy things like simple patterns for fingertips, Nakona said, no, we do our own thing. And produced some of the most frustrating to work on, poorly performing, and non-intuitive repair of both things that have ever been built. They're horrible. But Dave, maybe I like Nakona, and it smells great. I'm sure it does smell great. They're the best smelling gloves in the world. Nakona is notorious for using softer leathers. Softer leathers and the thickest, stiffest felt in the industry. How their gloves are constructed is pretty interesting. Instead of giving you a high-end piece of solid leather, they give you a pre-softened piece of walnut, steer hide, or buffalo, or kangaroo, or squirrels, or whatever it is, which is softer but looks really smooth, and they give you really thick felt. Their gloves are not made sturdy by their leather, but by their felt. They do that because felt's cheaper than leather. They've been doing this for 50 years. What you're going to get is a glove whose leather is going to stretch faster, tear apart in the palm much earlier, and you're getting some designs that are hard to work on if you're trying to fix your own. Look, I fix gloves for people all over the country. You give me one of these, 2, 3, 4, they're going to be pretty simple. You get a Nakona, get the Xanax, because sometimes these are a pain in the butt. Okay? Their leathers are too soft. They wear out too quickly, and their leathers are heavy, 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 heavy. They are heavy. How heavy? Heavy, trust me. So no, don't, please. If someone says Nakona is the best thing in the world and they're made in the USA, yeah, they were 60 years ago. Now like 15% of their gloves are made here, but they're still cranking out mediocre stuff with the wrong leathers made in Asia. Okay, so don't buy it. So there's my weird list. Hopefully you can read it and stuff. But if you run into another company of glove, you've never heard of it, please give me a call. See that? Call me. Call me or text me and say, Dave, I'm looking at this thing and someone's trying to get me this blah, blah, blah. Do you know anything about blah, blah, blah? And I'll say, oh, well, they're not on my list, but they're actually derivative of this, that, or the other. Because I've had to work on, I don't know how many brands of gloves by now. 40, 50, 60? So, see that? Free glove advice. That's what this is. It drives me crazy because I'm an umpire in Chicagoland. When I walk on the fields and kids are lugging around an A2K, which they can't use because it's too heavy and too big inside, and it was a gift. Wilson, Rawlings, Mizuno are fine. And when you're buying one of them, get the lowest end high-end glove they have. So if you're buying a Wilson, don't buy A2Ks. They're 2 extra layers of leather in an A2K, and they're heavy. Most pros don't use A2Ks for that reason. If you're buying a Rawlings, buy them a Heart of the Hide. Don't buy them an R2G, because what they do in an R2G is they take the felt and they make it really crappy, so it breaks in quick, and then it doesn't last. It loses its shape. Get a plain old Heart of the Hide or an A2000. If it's a Mizuno, get a Pro Select. Don't get the A2K, the Pro Preferred, the Gold Glove, 200 anniversary. Trust me, you're paying for more weight, no more performance. So, I don't know. I like when people save money and get what that really fits them. So please hear that. I'm not really trying to say I'm a good lacer. I'm gifted, thank the Lord, but don't get swayed by somebody who says they know a lot about gloves. Most Academy owners have never laced a glove, and of those who have, almost nobody has turned them inside out and worked on them and made them better. And I've been doing that for about 20 years. So I won't tell a lie. I don't sell any particular gloves. I'm at a Wilson rep or anybody rep. I just want people to get good deals and get products that'll fit their game, because a well-picked glove, broken in right, will make a player confident because they will make plays. If you don't make plays, no one cares what your glove looks like. Okay? So maybe it's helpful. I hope so. And like I said, you can call anytime and make it a lovely day.